In the quaint village of Rosewood, nestled between vibrant meadows and towering oaks, lived Eleanor, a young widow whose beauty was as pronounced as her sorrow. Her heart, a chamber of unspoken tales, was matched only by her devotion to her late husband, Edward, whose portrait hung grimly above the fireplace in her modest cottage. Eleanor's days were enveloped in the routine care of her small flower shop, Blossoms of Rosewood. The townspeople, though respectful of her loss, often spoke in hushed tones about her withdrawn nature and her reluctance to partake in village celebrations. One crisp autumn day, as Eleanor arranged a bouquet of chrysanthemums and carnations, the bell above the door tinkled, heralding the entry of a stranger. He was a tall man with a gentle demeanor, dressed in a tailored coat that spoke of the city. With a polite smile, he introduced himself as Julian, a painter searching for serene landscapes to capture. His presence in her shop, under the guise of desiring a floral centerpiece, did not mask his true captivation by Eleanor's melancholic beauty. As Julian visited the shop over the next few days, their conversations, initially stilted and formal, gradually revealed layers of their lives. Eleanor learned that Julian, much like herself, harbored a past woven with loss and regret. His wife had succumbed to illness, leaving him adrift in a sea of grief, seeking solace through his art. The turning leaves marked their growing acquaintance, and Eleanor found herself awaiting Julian's visits with an anticipation she both cherished and feared. One damp evening, Julian invited Eleanor to see his paintings at a local gallery showcasing his work. The hesitant acceptance marked Eleanor's first step out of the shadows of her solitude since Edward's death. Eleanor stood before Julian's paintings, each stroke on the canvas an echo of his soul's whispers. She was particularly drawn to a painting of a solitary cottage against a twilight sky, a lone light burning through its window. Julian joined her, explaining, "That light represents hope, the undying kind that even the darkest night can't smother." As autumn bled into winter, Julian's visits became the bright spots in Eleanor's gray days. But as the village prepared for the festive season, Julian received a letter that turned his world askew. His late wife's family, wealthy and influential, demanded his return to the city to settle unresolved matters concerning her estate. The news struck Eleanor like a cold gale. The fear of surrendering to her rekindled heart's yearnings battled with the dread of impending loneliness. On the eve of his departure, as snowflakes began their dance, Julian stood at Eleanor's doorstep, uncertainty shadowing his chiseled features. "Eleanor, I must go, and yet my heart feels tethered to Rosewood." "To you," he confessed, his voice a fragile whisper against the winter chill. Tears, held at bay for too long, threatened Eleanor's composure. "I am but a shadow of myself, Julian. My love for Edward still fills this cottage. His memory lingers like perfume in the air. How can I dare to love again?" Julian took her hands in his, their warmth a stark contrast to the cold air. "Love, dear Eleanor, doesn't die. It merely transforms, finds new ways to express itself. What we had with our departed is etched in eternity, but what we might have is written in the stars." As the snow veiled Rosewood, Eleanor's heart, a fortress of suppressed desires, felt a fissure widen. She stepped into Julian's embrace, allowing herself to feel the contours of a new beginning. Julian eventually returned to the city, but only to settle affairs quickly. By the onset of spring, he was back in Rosewood, this time for good. Life bloomed within and around Eleanor's cottage, a testament to the renewal of her heart under the watchful eyes of Edward's portrait, which seemed at last to approve. Their tale, woven from the threads of grief and courage, painted Rosewood in hues of resilience and hope, wisp-like airing to the winds that even the most profound sorrow could burgeon into beautiful beginnings.